Here is a cinematic, long-form mystery-adventure story inspired by that title, kept within a few thousand-word range and written for a dramatic USA audience YouTube narration style. The Atlantic was calm in a way that made veteran sailors uneasy. Captain Jonah Reeves stood on the bridge of the research vessel Aquila, arms folded, eyes locked on the glowing sonar screen. The water stretched endlessly in every direction, steel blue, reflective as glass, but the machines beneath his feet told a very different story. At 2 miles below the hull, something enormous lay buried in sediment. "Run the scan again," he said quietly. Dr. Elena Morrow, marine geophysicist and leader of the expedition, tapped her tablet. A ghostly outline sharpened on the display, long, segmented, unmistakably mechanical. "It isn't rock, it's rail cars." Jonah exhaled slowly. A train. Under the ocean? The legend. For over a century, maritime folklore whispered of the Aurum Line, a heavily armored freight train that vanished during the final year of World War I. According to fragmented records, the train had been transporting a multinational gold reserve, nearly 300 tons, from a coastal European vault to an undisclosed port, meant to prevent the bullion from falling into enemy hands. The convoy reached a secret pier in the dead of night. The rail cars were rolled onto a reinforced ferry barge, and then nothing. No distress call, no wreckage, just missing gold and a ledger stamped classified. Some said the barge sank during a storm. Others believed sabotage. Conspiracy theorists insisted the train was deliberately scuttled by governments that wanted the treasure erased from history. For decades, treasure hunters searched the wrong seas until Elena found a discrepancy. A forgotten shipping route, a smudged coordinate in a French naval archive, and a sonar shadow that shouldn't exist. The Lighthouse Keeper of Harbor Point. Historical fiction. World War II America. Fog rolled in from the Atlantic like a living creature, swallowing Harbor Point inch by inch. Cargo ships lay silent at the docks, steel hulls breathing clouds of steam into the night air. The harbor lights, once brilliant, now glowed faint amber beneath wartime blackout regulations. Windows were curtained. Radios kept low. Even footsteps seemed cautious. Samuel Carter pulled his coat tighter as he stood near Warehouse 17, staring at the clock bolted to its brick wall. 11:40 p.m. 20 minutes until midnight. 20 minutes until everything changed. Samuel was not a soldier. He had never crossed the ocean in uniform, never carried a rifle through hedgerows in France, or marched across desert sands in North Africa. He was 36 years old, thin from long nights and short rations, with hands roughened by salt water and rope. Officially, he was the assistant lighthouse keeper at Harbor Point. Unofficially, he was about to betray his country, or save it. He wasn't sure which yet. Before the war, Harbor Point had been a sleepy Massachusetts coastal town where fishermen argued over tides and tourists ate clam chowder on sunlit piers. The lighthouse, an aging white tower perched on a granite bluff, had been Samuel's refuge after his wife died in 1938. When Germany invaded Poland the following year, the war felt distant. When Pearl Harbor burned in December of '41, the distance vanished. Within weeks, army trucks appeared in town, naval patrol boats sliced through the harbor. The lighthouse beam was dimmed, then shuttered entirely on certain nights to prevent enemy submarines from navigating offshore. And rumors began. German U-boats had been spotted along the east coast. Oil tankers were burning just beyond the horizon. Bodies washed ashore with life jackets stamped in foreign languages. Samuel heard everything. Lighthouse keepers always did. Sailors talked when they thought no one important was listening. The first man to approach him was named Victor Hale. He arrived in January 1943, well-dressed despite rationing, carrying papers from the Department of Commerce and speaking with a Midwestern accent that felt rehearsed. "Routine coastal infrastructure survey," Hale said, smiling too easily. But his eyes lingered on the lantern room longer than necessary. "How often do you run maintenance checks?" "Every night." "Especially during blackout?" "Especially during blackout." Hale nodded, then returned 2 weeks later, and again. And by March, he was asking questions no civilian inspector should. How many supply convoys pass through weekly? Which ships carry fuel? Who controls the switch for the auxiliary beacon? Samuel answered carefully, truth wrapped in vagueness.